Hi! So, I just spent my evening watching the three first episodes of Netflix's new series, The Boroughs, which is co-created by the Duffer Brothers. And yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I think about it and if it's worth watching. So, The Boroughs is this new series co-created by the Duffer Brothers, which I went into pretty much knowing nothing except for that it was co-created by the Duffer Brothers. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that. But yeah, I didn't watch any of the trailers because trailers spoil everything. And so I pretty much only knew that it was the Duffer Brothers' new show, but I actually didn't really want to know what they did after Stranger Things because that series had a long, arduous death crawl that wasn't really nice to look at, in my opinion, and the last season was so atrocious I barely could even finish it. But morbid curiosity won out, and I mean, I'm here to tell you if it's good or not. The series follows Sam, who is a nearly widowed man who moves into this retirement community, and he just can't seem to really find his place at first. But then he meets some of his neighbors, and they actually bond. But then there are some weird goings on in that retirement community, and they all have to find out what is going on there because it is really weird. So I'm gonna do a little spoiler-free section. I'm gonna talk about what I liked and what I didn't like about the series. And at the end of this, we're gonna do a little spoiler section. So starting out with the positives, I have to say that I really like the look of this show. I'm of the probably at the moment pretty popular opinion that season 5 of Stranger Things looked like absolute ass. The overuse of CGI and just everything that television series once did well kind of was abandoned in season 5, in my opinion, especially in the looks department. And this new series actually looks pretty good. I really like the 1950s esque aesthetic, and I really do think that, especially in terms of lighting and keeping the let's call it antagonists of the show pretty hidden, even though they probably had a pretty high budget after Stranger Things was such a high success. This is probably my time to say that I don't really know how much the Duffer Brothers are actually involved in this, but given that it's literally the only piece of marketing I saw that this is the Duffer Brothers' new thing, don't you want to see the Duffer Brothers' new thing? I'm gonna keep comparing it to Stranger Things. But yeah, I really like the look of the show. I think it's pretty good, especially compared to something like the latest Stranger Things entries. What I also really like is the mystery, which is good because this series is a mystery show. I wouldn't go in there expecting something like the later seasons of Stranger Things in terms of horror. It's really more of a mystery, akin to the mystery plots in the first season of Stranger Things. Although I wouldn't go in expecting that either, because the first season of Stranger Things is a very amazing piece of television, and this one certainly doesn't reach those heights, but I think it's compelling. It does an admirable job of keeping all the characters busy. The cast is pretty concise, which is also a criticism that Stranger Things always got lobbied at, and it isn't here. The casts all have their own storylines. We have the group of Sam and Wally with their investigation. There's Judy with her grief and then her sleuthing. Art, who does his thing in the desert. And Renee, who also has some kind of investigation, but also gets it up with the security guard. And as much as I don't tend to care about most straight romances, this was okay, probably just because I think the security guard is very hot. But I thought it was good. And the mysteries have the good thing of while they are all separate stories so far, and I do think that they will eventually interlock, but at the moment they're separate, but they do all have these overlapping points. So don't think that it's a Stranger Things 4 situation where the plots are so incredibly separate for most, if not all, of the season and barely have any overlapping things. This one has a central mystery from which all the other plots which the characters follow branch out. And I am very convinced that they will eventually overlap in a satisfying way. Having said that, the mysteries are not like the most difficult thing ever. The first one that was introduced with the first episode pretty much wrapped by the end of the third episode. So we haven't gotten the conclusion yet, but I can definitely see where it's going. But just when I thought that, oh my god, the series really blew its load after the third episode, the art storyline really introduced another thing, and now I'm intrigued again. So the series is really doing a good job at keeping me interested, which is always a good thing in my book. Also, I liked the characters. We're gonna get to them in my criticisms as well, but for something that I really didn't expect much of, especially after my impressions of the first episode, I think they're kind of sardonic observations on age mixed with their sometimes pretty immature childish humor works surprisingly well. I don't think that this has any incredibly profound conversations about what it means to age, but it also doesn't treat its elderly characters like idiots, and also doesn't treat its elderly characters like they're all just angry at the youth, and also doesn't treat the youth as like these really immature people who just don't respect these elders. So I really think it's having a good balance there. That much said about the positives. I do have some obvious negatives as well, including the entirety of the first episode. I just don't think that this series makes a good first impression. In my opinion, it really doesn't. I was surprised how much I liked this after watching 3 episodes, because the first one I just really didn't like at all. I don't know if it's the translation to German, because I did watch it with my mom and my sister, or just the actual writing, but the dialogue in the first episode I thought was trash. It honestly just didn't put a good foot forward. It could be that the characters and their dynamics just needed a little bit of time to find their footing, but I really didn't care for it. But that said, once you do make it through the first episode, I really do think it gets better, with the storylines branching off and the characters really developing, like I said in the positive section. So I do think it's good. I just think you might have to bear a little bit of a negative first experience, which is never like good, because you want to make a good first impression, but it's also not hugely terrible, because the series up until now, at least with the second and third episode, managed to make it worthwhile. In terms of other negatives, this is not personally a negative for me, but it could be for other people. In the humor, I already talked about the humor, and that it actually, as a contrast to how serious the characters can sometimes be, works actually pretty well with the immaturity. But if you expect like Stranger Things levels, especially first season Stranger Things levels of tone and like moodiness, darkness, something like that, you won't get it here. This is definitely going for more of like a goofy thing, but it's never reaching the incredible cringe levels of something like Stranger Things seasons 3 to 5. So I wouldn't really worry about that, but just know that this is going for more of a comedic tone. It's not going to be incredibly serious. Again, also, if you're expecting a horror show, this is not it. This is very focused on the mystery aspect. It also isn't gory, because like, when saying the mystery aspect, I compare it to Stranger Things 1. And Stranger Things 1, while having a very good mystery, still manages to be horror, because it has scary moments, it has these tense things, and this so far really doesn't. It's really just about these characters finding out about the weird goings on in their retirement community. And there's no gore so far, really. All the episodes I saw were rated 12 plus, which is the equivalent of PG-13 in America. And so I wouldn't really expect that. It could obviously still go another way in the further episodes, but it's a really good mystery so far, but just don't expect horror. So that's all the negatives I can think of right now. Again, I haven't really written anything down, so I could probably still think of some if I really got into my mind, but just no. But before we get into the spoilers section, I want to say that if you do want to watch this series, I would so far recommend it. It only has 8 episodes. It is included in your Netflix subscription, which you probably already have, but I do also get, if you don't want to support Netflix, then no. But it's not like a huge time investment. I want to probably do a full review once I have finished watching it, and so far I would say it's worth watching. It will not ruin your day so far, and it's not like terrible. It's not an amazing piece of art, but I had fun so far. And so yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled, then click off this video and watch the series, because I would recommend it. With that, let's get into the spoilers section. So spoilers, I want to talk about the monster. I do think it's an alien, right? Because the Duffers aren't really exactly subtle about foreshadowing, and the way Art talked about, oh, the alien conspiracy in the first episode, I really do think it's just a hint that it is going to be aliens. And I mean, we saw the things, they do look like aliens. Speaking of seeing the things, I do like how they keep them hidden. I already said that I think they probably have a really high budget for this, given how much of a success Stranger Things was, but I do like that they actually keep them hidden. Because the way that Stranger Things in the later seasons just tosses out monster after monster and just completely abandons any subtlety, I really can't stand that. And here in the first, especially in the first episode, it was really like obscured with like the lighting and everything. So I really appreciated that. And the second episode, like not showing the monster at all, was also like a good choice in my opinion. And with the third, we saw it again, but it's also still not like obvious, and we don't get like a bunch of screen time with it. So I really like that decision. I don't really have a lot to say about the design of the monster itself. I mean, we haven't even gotten a really good look at it, but it's okay. I wouldn't say it's as iconic as the Demogorgon, but I mean, how influential the Demogorgon was since Stranger Things 1 came out, I don't think you can replicate that anyway, and I don't think it's going for that, so I don't really care. I was kind of upset with art at first because I was like, oh my god, of course the black guy who believes in conspiracy theories also has to be a weed connoisseur and plant mushrooms in this weird back garden shed, but I actually grew to appreciate him. I mean, is he a stereotype? Kinda, but I do like him as a character. The bond with this crow, I think, was kind of sweet. And I mean, the mystery with the tree it set up at the end of the third episode, I thought was really cool. And I definitely want to see where it's going with that. I do still kind of want to know what, like, the actual purpose of this entire retirement community is, because yeah, I mean, at the end of episode 3 we pretty much know now that these aliens are living there and they're feeding on the old people at night, on like their brain stems, which is probably making the old people more forgetful. And they do it in this way because it's a retirement community and it's expected that these people get like either Alzheimer's or dementia or just generally get forgetful because of their age. And so they can't hide it. That's my theory, and I'm probably correct. But I still want to know why. Like, it's run by a human, or at least I think it's a human. So why is he doing it? Otherwise, I don't really think I actually have that much to say so far. And yeah, I don't know. Definitely let me know if I should do a review for the full series. I mean, having started this, I probably will, because I just don't want to just leave things open and just have an initial impressions video and not a full review. But I will just have to see when I have time to watch the full thing. But yeah, given that, have you watched this thing? What do you think of it? And do you want to continue? Or have you already watched the full thing and can say that it is worth watching fully through? I don't know. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in another one. Bye!